show. welcome one and all to another amazing night here in Tranquility.
We absolutely are in for a treat of a match here tonight, no question about it.
And the grenade from Pompu, eliminating everybody on the field.
Now between something as well is going to be applied as a death block them, and it's going to be huge. Fighting three.
The double kill with the Bastion ulti? Alright, I see you guys.
For B-Well, look to find a stick there, finds the stick, they find two with it!
Those who find the picks will save the fight, and they don't really need to save what they've already won.
And Cam with the four-man punch off the map!
Experience tranquility.
Hey, howdy, and welcome everybody to week 3 of... God, it's nice to be back. Overwatch Tranquility. I haven't said it in a long time. Cole, my name is Dor, and over to my left here, this is Cole. Hasn't been casted in quite some time, but does have a lot of experience to back it up. Cole, how you doing? How you feeling now that you're on broadcast?
I'm good. You really like to throw me under the bus just off the beat, but I'm glad to be here, you know? Excited.
Yeah, this should be a lot of fun. Ascendant Tier stuff, so uncapped, as we know, coming into week 3 as well as a lot of competition. Titans looking insane. Bernar Fan Club on the other side, though. Boy, do they know how to put on a fight. I was watching some of the highlights from their run back, their reverse sweep that they pulled off earlier. This should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's really interesting too as well. I've seen some of your casts, and we talked about this new comp that's coming from the meta that you have so lovingly called the Shooters comp. If you want to tell me a little bit about what that means.
Wait, I mean, look, the Shooters comp is not a composition; it's a way of life, Cole. You bring as many hit scans as you can fit in your back pocket, and you line them all up down a lane, and you take people to town. The Soldier and the Illari make it really dynamic as well with all the flanks. I'm excited for this Ascendant Tier match, specifically because it's Ascendant Tier. I expect a lot more of that meta gameplay with teams kind of leaning in to what are becoming kind of the forefront compositions. And so for me, that brings itself up a lot more than it would in something like a Harmony tier, like a Discord tier, where the compositions are more so to kind of fit the players and fit what they have available to them. These teams I expect to be bringing a lot more meta to the game, to the table, and for that I think the game should be pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's always interesting to see players where instead of playing their one trick, their two trick, that Mercy player in gold that just absolutely refuses to res behind a shield, instead we start to see players who are more equipped with the most meta heroes. We see more Orisa players in this meta, like you mentioned, we see more Soldier, the Illari being so strong with Captive Sun. I think it's going to be a lot more interesting to see much more coordinated team fights, and it makes the games just that more exciting to watch because any one pick, an absolute game.
Yeah, and this comp plays really differently to a lot of the stuff that came before it, right? I mean, Overwatch 2 has been so dive-based for so long, so to see something like this, I think is a nice bit of dynamicism within the meta. But I want to know what it's like, 'cause, I mean, you played Contenders. You know what it's like to try and shift compositions pretty drastically like this. To be able to go from most teams that have been playing dive-centric stuff to this, what's that shift like and how do you make it?
Yeah, so typically you see that shift coming when these comps start to populate and everybody sort of starts moving towards what the best composition is, or at least core. So for this one, right, like what is core to this comp? The Orisa, the Illari, and then, like you said, like as many hit skins as you can, which we're seeing a lot of Soldier, Baptiste, Sojourn, even Torb at some points. And the idea is you just have to get in as much game time as you can. And it's really difficult to do that in a place like Ranked, this is why scrims are really important. Ranked always lags fairly behind what meta is. And so those scrim times where you have to get in that practice, that organized practice, where you have to figure out, okay, how does this comp even play? Why is it so strong? How can we utilize it to the best of our abilities? Like, where do we take our mesh it with this comp? That's probably the most important part of sort of switching metas, especially like something drastic from dive to the Shooters comp.
Yeah, and I think that's what I'm excited to see, is how they mesh their individual skills with the composition, because there's a lot you can play. Shooters is not a specific 5 heroes that you bring out. There's a lot of variance within the DPS, the support line you can change. Even the tank from map to map can change, although the identity might stay a little bit the same with regards to what the actual goals of the composition are. But that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at our map. We're starting off things on Oasis to open things up, which should tell us a little bit more about what we expect to see. But all things being said and done, Oasis does largely open itself up to this meta composition, though being one of the more flexible control points, I think there still is plenty of room here if teams want to go for something either more dive-centric or some of the more Sigma or Junker Queen-based compositions that we've been seeing on some of the other maps.
Yeah, and I think one thing you have to keep in mind when you start looking at these maps, especially on Oasis, is that most of these choke points that you're going to be fighting in have some sort of overlooking high ground, and I feel like that's the name of the game in meta. Being able to control that high ground, being able to control it in a way that you can't have it taken from you. For example, just positioning well even when you're on the high ground. You need to be able to play for it, you need to be able to keep it, and you need to be able to know when to drop, right? It's just these really important decisions that you can only make within a millisecond. That's going to be ultimately what wins you.
And who wins this game is now up in the air. First map's on deck. We're starting things off on Oasis. Let us know in chat who you guys think is going to win. We got Titan and Bernar fan club finally duking it out. Quick reminder, Titan are currently 6-0 on maps. They'd love to keep that and establish themselves at the top of the board. There is not a team that is 9-0 yet right now. There's a couple with an 8-map difference, but nobody's quite there. Bernar fan club would love to throw a wrench in those mix, but they're going to both do it with pretty similar compositions here. Shooters comp on either side. This may, if it stays, is really interesting. You have to see, though. Same goes for Bill's Junkrat. It's a lot of spam damage coming out from either side, though, and does stay true to the shooter's identity. That's just maybe a little bit more custom than we're accustomed to with the Mei and the Junkrat, really leading into these players' specific playstyles.
Yeah, we're going to have... I want to be able to look at the Junkrat here for this spam damage. I think it's going to be really difficult to utilize, but if they get themselves in a position where they're going to be able to use it, I think that it's going to do a lot of damage very quickly, which I'm not sure this comp is very equipped to deal with. So with this high ground, getting early control from Bernar fan club is going to make this really hard for Titan to fight into, but they do it anyways. Bill gets that kill onto the Alari here, and that's going to make this fight already more difficult because of how poor Alari is to this early fight. And with the early high ground taken, they're going to be able to get that point on, Orisa, kind of making this really difficult for Bernar to keep because of the positioning there around the middle part of that section. And as you see, they're going to go around and just take that high ground and reset up.
Yeah, if there's one thing this comp knows how to do, it's take the high ground. Like, how do you exist up here when there's a Bastion going wheels down and you're eating junk mines for breakfast, lunch, and dinner? Like, this was an inevitability that they got control of this high ground. It's just how Bernar fan club reacted, and I'm not quite sure they made the disengage that they needed to in time. Now they have to fight into it, which might be even harder, especially with the Orisa cutting off the backline.
Yeah, we're going to have just absolute damage raining down. This is where the Junkrat spam is really important. The tire's going to be ripped out here, which I imagine is just going to wipe the fight, and that's just going to be a complete wipe. Tire only getting one, but it was enough.
I mean, Bernar fan club just got shoved in a locker, right? Like, straight back into the mini room. There's nowhere to go. You're eating junk mines. Even the Bastion's tactical grenade, like, it's too much. So this fight shouldn't be much different either, especially with Titan being ahead in ultimates. It's going to be really difficult to move in and win. Prazi Riot has the Captive Sun.
Yeah, the Captive Sun is probably going to be the most important thing we see in this fight. There's no other ult here that has as much impact. There's going to be an early use here. I wonder what they're looking for. Flying over the edge of that map here is actually incredibly aggressive, but it's paying off. With Garnish going down early, I think this is just going to be a fallback for Bernar fan club. I think that this is just going to be a wiped fight.
Yeah, and off one ultimate, no less. It's extremely efficient for Titan, who now have zoning ultimates of their own. So if Bernar fan club try to go fast, take space with the Amplification Matrix, or run forward with the Terror Surge, there are tools to get away for Titan, though they are a little bit lacking. This is Bernar's fan club chance, if there ever was one.
Yeah, it's all going to be how they manage to utilize this high ground, or if they even opt to go for it at all, because that's going to be an early pick onto the Sojourn, which ultimately makes this very difficult. I think this Mei ult here is going to be the ultimate reason why Bernar fan club even has a chance in this fight, but we need to make sure that we keep an eye on this Orisa here for Titan, because it's going to be so incredibly important for them to be able to position around and keep their team alive. But we have a Heavenly OK just making sure nobody comes in, and that's a really fast map one.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't even take that many ultimates from Titan to get there. It was just a clean disengage against the Blizzard, and that was the big thing that, like you said, Bernar fan club was trying to land in order to make sure their engage actually connected to run on top of that Bastion. But the second that missed, it was kind of just game over because they didn't take that space early with the amplification matrix and then use the blizzard and instead kind of use them simultaneously, you lost a lot of value and gave Titan the room to disengage. That's not to take credit away from Titan, though. Their disengages this whole time. Not to mention their engages as well. Their control over the pace of the match was what I really admired about a lot of it, right? Whether they were choosing to be proactive or defensive, they had a very clear game plan going into each one, and I expect the same thing coming in here. But Bernar fan club, all right, we're changing things up a little bit. A little Junker Queen action off Pharah as well. This should play pretty well into the Bastion Junkrat. There's not as much hit scan as you would normally expect to be able to take out the Pharah from the sky.
Yeah, I want to see how Titan actually managed to utilize this left side, and that's going to be just an absolute wipe. Titan not giving Bernar fan club even a chance to touch this point.
Yeah, I mean, I think you just swap the Pharah now. The Pharah is like not super good at taking the space actively. It would have been great for holding it, for playing into the chokes and utilizing them, but here I think you lose a lot of value. I don't think they're swapping, though. Ain't It Funny's going to have to make this one work. Still is getting a decent amount of ultimate charge up towards that barrage, but nothing too notable. Same thing just goes for Titan. The shooters are going to shoot down this lane and try and find a pick here early.
Yeah, what you'll notice here is Titan's going to be okay giving up this space, because the more space that they give, the more open sightlines there are on this Pharah. So the second that she has to push up, I would expect a lot more focus to be on her, because it's just the easiest to make. Junker Queen going to be coming in here with her commanding shout, but not going to find anything off of it. In fact, Garnish is going to go down, and once again, this early pick going on and making it an impossible fight for Bernar fan club.
Yeah, they can't find any real engage onto the backline. I suspect a lot of that's just, I mean, not running a Lucio with this composition hurts a lot, right? You're trying to get that Junker Queen into the backline, trying to not be fighting the Orisa is kind of the main goal of it, but alas, Fricko sat there, shooting away at Leo, tried to dive the backline, but only kind of got halfway there. We can't see any more of this footsies game. It needs to be a much more direct plan for Bernar fan club if they want to get in, but now that you're doing it into ultimates, into the Captive Sun, it's going to be even more difficult.
Yeah, it just looks very disorganized. Very clearly, Titan is going in with a plan of what ults they're going to use before the fight even starts, and that's why they're able to proactive plays. So we have the Captive Sun coming out, and it's going to be just the tank and Illari working together to just wrap that backline, and then that just leaves a Mercy in the air, Sombra trying to touch point, but there's not much.
And it's super clean stuff from Titan. Again, what you come to expect, but the fight plans not just are clean, but they're very measured as well. Their control of the ultimate economy has been very stark, because as much as, yes, Bernar fan club are coming up with ultimates this fight, they were always going to have a chance at some point, but because Titan have pocketed this amplification matrix, they've got a pretty solid chance at finding a pick here, especially against a team that has to walk into it.
Yeah, this Pharah doesn't want to ult at all. The second that it's popped, there's going to be a window and a bunch of people looking in her direction. That's exactly what happens here. Leo taking down Pharah, and again, it's just these 1 to 2 picks deciding the entire fight within seconds before anything can happen.
It's too early ones. That should wrap things up here for Oasis. Fricko comes back, joins the fray for a little bit, but will be succinctly ended by Titan, who are pretty happy with the pace things are going right about now. Bernar fan club looking for a way to turn things around, and honestly, it seems like there is some ground for things we had there. I actually really like their approach to taking map number 1. The composition looked good, their high ground take looked good. If they found that disengage up against the Bastion Junkrat, maybe they could have done it. But in terms of the mirror, the Bastion Junkrat seems to be giving them a lot of problems.
Yeah, Junkrat's not something that you're going to be practicing against in every scrim, right? And so the playstyle of that spam damage, especially being utilized in such a burst-heavy way as opposed to something like a Hanzo, where you're either one-shot or you're being able to heal right after, it's something incredibly difficult to deal with. And something that when Junkrat's able to shoot down on top of you, if there's an Orisa in your face, you have to pick one or the other, and it's a losing fight either.
And I think there are plenty of things that you can change at a pretty rapid pace in order to actually play into that, right? A lot of the gameplay into the Bastion, because I think the Junkrat is actually maybe less impactful in a number of ways outside of just being wary of map geometry in general. The Bastion, you need to just be waiting out the wheels, right? It's the entire game plan. If you haven't played against before, just wait the cooldown out, pull it early, and then go. Heavenly's been doing a pretty solid job of making sure to not give it away at kind of the drop of a hat. But it still has been coming out pretty consistently, and I think there's plenty of room there for Bernar fan club to actually disengage it, especially if they want to run something like a Lucio. I was suggesting it with the Junker Queen to allow it to get into the backline more effectively. But if you run the mirror, something that we've seen a lot of the contenders teams doing, the ones that don't want to lean into the Torbjorn, the Bastion, stuff like that, ones that want to play a bit more of a brawly version of the composition, throw in an Ana, throw in a Lucio. The comp can be very aggressive if you want it to, especially if you want to put a Symmetra in and get really funky with things. You can play it hyper aggressive, and that also gives you the tools that you need to back away if you really need to. Being able to walk into the fights and then speed out when the Bastion drops wheels can be a really valuable tool that Bernar, I think, would really like at this point.
Yeah, and there's something to be said as well if you're the team that has the Lucio and the other team does not. Being able to dictate the tempo of fights at any given moment with the speed boost is really important, right? Because the second you see wheels, get out, the wheels are gone, you come back in, and they can't do anything about it, right? Especially with being able to escort, like you mentioned, a Junker, right? Being able to escort them into any angle they need to be in, picking a target, rushing that target, and taking it out is really, really important. And I would really like to see that kind of adaptation coming from Bernar, but I'm excited to see what they do.
Yeah, it seemed like map number 2, they kind of threw spaghetti at the wall to try and see what stuck, right? We had the poke comp coming out with the Pharah, and then we had a comp that wanted to brawl pretty hard with the Junker Queen, and those two things didn't really mesh. But if they want to pick one of them, settle, or go for like the Lucio type of brawl thing, if they want to go full poke, they can go full poke, but the whole in-between thing I don't think is going to work, but that does kind of lead us into what we want to talk about with map number 2. I'm curious to see exactly what we get picked here. Paraiso, Hollywood, Eichenwald are the options, and it's Ike, chosen by Bernar Fan Club. Why do you think this is, Cole? What are you feeling here?
I think they might have been listening to your cast, because on Eichenwald, I think the one thing you want to do is you want to get in the face, especially on attack, right? You don't want to be sitting in this sort of choke area where the defense is able to just constantly spam damage at you and break a shield in the case if you're using like a Reinhardt, for example. But in the case of something like an Orisa, a lot of that spam damage can catch you off guard, and some of your backline can explode it instantly, right? So I think what they're going to want to do here is, especially if they're attacking, even on defense, this can work as well, is have that Lucio dictate the way that this fight, or this entire map goes rather, from the very beginning. Because the way that Titan is taking control of these fights is they're making sure that they have the ult economy. They're utilizing 1 to 2 ults and wiping entire fights. Bernar Fan Club needs to have that kind of efficiency, but in a way that Titan is not expecting, and I think that that's exactly how they're going to do.
Hey, that's a tall order for a lot of teams, though, because Titan's playing a steamer for sure. This has been a fantastic game. It just doesn't stop going in terms of the pacing that they bring to the game. So to try and wrestle that from their control, it'll be tough, but I think we have some at least inspiring words from Bernar Fan Club. I was talking to their social media manager earlier on Twitter, and I got a quote: "I think my team will win because they're cool and good at the game, smiley face, smiley face. I love my team, Yippee, with 3 E's, exclamation point, exclamation point." So they at least have a super fan going for them, and I feel like I would be playing like prime Bernar Fan Club if I had somebody like that rooting for me.
Yeah, I mean, you can't let them down, right? The social media manager is either going to be your biggest fan, or they're going to hope that, the game just goes
You don't want the
quick,
media
right?
manager playing against you. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. Because then you end up in a G2 situation.
All right. And things in Bernar Fan Club starting out on the attacking side, and they have decided to go one of the two directions, opting for something way more poke-based, right? Bring in the Pharah, bring in the Widowmaker, swap it out for a Tracer, still plenty optimal. This gives them a lot of dive options to go with their composition. And Titan seemingly have leaned pretty hard into the poke as well, offering up a ton of pick potential from, pretty much every member of that roster. So this to me reads like a fight that lies on a knife's edge.
Yeah, at any moment, Titan can get a pick here, or any amount of significant damage, just hit the go button. Especially with Zarya playing so far forward, there isn't a whole lot that can be done and just like that, right? Calyx hits that pick, and immediately the attack from Bernar Fan Club falls apart.
And same thing can happen in the other way, though. That's I think the risk of running pick compositions like this, especially ones without shields on defense, is just that, look at that, Mooney's down, another pick goes that way, but the offside is kind of being that on defense, the spawn's a lot further away. So if that attacking side does find one pick, it's going to be a lot more impactful to you than a pick for you is to them.
Yeah, overheating here can definitely be a problem for defenders. We've seen it a lot of times in ranked, where you get to the 3-minute mark, they haven't even touched the point, and then your tank decides to just run it down for funsies. But so far, it's looking like Titan is not running it down for funsies. It's looking like they just want to get this game over with lickety split, and they want to make it a nice 3-0 and make that 9-0 record you mentioned that no team has.
Yeah, now with the ultimates coming up as well, I mean, Bernar Fan Club are kind of in the mud in terms of ultimates. You're looking for something like a Grav Pulse Bomb to get the job done, but instead, I mean, you're just getting Grav Captive Sunned on your own side. It's not looking pretty. There's still a lot more ultimates that are going to have to escape spawn against, and unfortunately, that seems pretty soon in our future.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. I think Bernar Fan Club
got one.
That was an actually massive pick onto the Kiriko here, especially because like Kiriko had Kitsune Rush, one of the 3 ultimates. So it's going to be a tall order.
Come on.
Bernar Fan Club just can't have anything. They just can't have anything because the second they get something, it's taken away from them by Titan.
I mean, Titan are just a pick machine. At every single roll, we've seen really get in on the action. So much so to the point where we're reaching a second round of ultimates at a pretty significant pace. Though Bernar Fan Club does have an advantage, this is going to be kind of the opportunity, if there ever was one, for them to try and get in. And I think they want to greed and want to try and use this grab as kind of like an instant win button, but it's a lot to commit, and especially when you're getting picked off so consistently, I think landing a play like a Grav combo isn't necessarily a guarantee.
Yeah, when teams start to get desperate, they do exactly what you see Bernar
Oh,
Fan.
no.
Oh, that's tragic. When you see teams like Bernar Fan Club doing what they're doing, which is they had 5 ultimates at one point, that's a strat that you'll see at honestly even the higher levels where when nothing else is working, stack the ults, win a fight with 5 ult, right? It's not optimal at all, but it's something you'll do to see teams that are shutting down. And unfortunately, I think that's what we're seeing with just the stacking of ultimates and just getting spawned. That's a tilter.
Okay. Well, we got off main down though. No tank now for Titan. This is the opportunity if there ever was one. I know I said it last time when they had ultimates, but with a tank advantage, you've got to be able to make your way forward. Garnish though down. The high ground still belongs to Titan. A couple more picks Bernar's way though, and all of a sudden things are looking pretty up.
Yeah, they need to take out Calyx and Gabe here. Because they're doing a lot more damage than they should be allowed to be doing. That's going to be 1 tick down at least on the point, and that Reinhardt is getting taken to Gariblo. That is going to be... How did Titan bring that back?
Again, it's this high ground, this bridge. Calyx and Zudomayo and Gabe, we're all just sitting on top of this bridge entirely uncontested. And now the same thing looks to be happening. All of Titan are back on this point and the Captive Sun's up.
Yeah, I think the Captive Sun is going to be what puts the nail in the coffin for this map. Sojourn not even going to be able to touch the grab onto Milkshake. That's going to be... They gave up a tick, right? Had to do something for the content, but that was pretty one-sided.
Yeah, it's been rough for Bernar Fan Club. And a lot of that isn't even down to like game control. Map number 1, we were harping on it, talking about, oh yeah, it's their control of the ult economy, it's the more offensive usage, the better fight planning, and we saw some of that early on here, right? The little combo there, the early fights by Titan. But let's be real, by the end of it, it was just Titan playing a lot better mechanically. They were winning their duels, finding picks left, right, and center. Calyx, I think, might be the most annoying person in the server by a country mile. Like, what? How do you deal with this guy?
It just seems like everywhere you go, there's a Calyx in the corner waiting to shoot you in the head with a Hanzo arrow, right? Like, you can't get away. He's in your nightmares at this point. So
teleports behind you, nothing personal.
I think at some point you got to be able to just control this, right? Like, just communicate where Calyx is. Find some way to just make him less effective, because otherwise, this map is a done deal.
Well, on the bright side, at least things are looking different. The scenery may change. We'll see if the results do. Comps have certainly made a bit of a switch up. We got Ramatra comp coming in on one side. Not a rush variant, though. A May Bastion out of Bernar Fan Club, which I guess their game plan would have been to, wall and then shred somebody, but when you're playing into a full dive composition like Titan have, I don't know who you're going to wall and shred with the Bastion. Everyone can kind of just get out of it. This might actually go even worse, because it seems like the compositional rock, paper, scissors that was played in this second half have been pretty poor for the defending side.
Yeah, I think off main going on the flank here. I think thematically, this is just an issue, and I think where Bernar Fan Club can't afford to lose a fight, it's not starting off well. Ain't It Funny's going to go down early, and that's just going to lead to a snowball effect here of Lunari going down. That's the May down, and that's going to be Eichenwald, Door.
we're speedrunning this one. Look, I know the beat stream's not up, but we're not trying to cut off all the Tranquility streams, so really, come on, Titan. They're here. They're not here for the game. They're here for the dinner afterwards.
Yeah, one of the players said they're hungry, so they need to finish this fast.
We've all been there. I can't say I've been there in as effective of a way as Titan are, where they're just like actually capable of ending it at will, but holy cow, what a team. We talked about them going 9-0 potentially, but it really does seem to be in the cards in terms of teams to look out for. I think Titan are unquestionably an Ascendant tier, one of the teams that everybody should be keeping an eye on.
Yeah, I think just their ability to control every aspect of the game that a lot of teams have difficulties with, ult economy, positioning, even middle of the game or middle of the fight team, like planning, basically shifting, like what do you need to take care of. It's really, really important, and I think that they have shown that they have a grasp on almost every single aspect of it in a way a lot of other teams.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't think that's going to change much in map number 3. We can change the geometry, we can talk about where we want to go, but I think we got to leave it up to Bernar fan club, because it is going to take one hell of a halftime speech to get this one going back in their direction, but we might as well give them the opportunity to. We're going to see you guys after this quick break.
this out.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Tranquility stream between Titan and Bernar fan club. We have a 2-0 score line. Dor, do you want to just explain to us what we witnessed in the last 10 or so minutes?
Titan just dominating. I don't know what to tell you, man. Titan look invincible. They're insane. I'm not sure they have an Achilles heel. There's so much that they've been bringing to the table, whether it's individual capability, whether it's the fight planning, whether it's the ult usage, ult economy. We can go on and on. I mean, I'm just talking about like the fundamentals, but that's all it's been taking because they've been doing them so cleanly. The one thing I think Bernar fan club does have going for them is in week 1 they pulled off a reverse sweep, which was insane and a good watch. But like, oh, it's gonna take a lot of sweeping to do this one. Let me tell you what.
They're going to need a whole closet full of brooms for this one, I'm thinking. But in reality, if Bernar fan club had to focus on anything, any one to kind of bring this game to even state, maybe start that reverse did in one game, what one or a couple of?
Okay, I'm going to talk about this. I've talked about this like a number of times in a number of matches and a lot of stomps that kind of look this way. And it's not the same as like a team just getting 3-0'd. Like there's a moment when the other team starts calling you out in a number of ways where they start kind of IQ checking you and making sure that you're playing clean. And it often comes after you've been outmatched. Like map 1 went through and they were getting outmatched in terms of team play. They were getting out ult economy and stuff like that. But then on map number 2, it seemed like Titan were really disrespecting them in a number of ways. And I don't know if you've witnessed it, Cole, right? You've seen like the Overwatch 1 like GM hog walking around a gold lobby just like on random flanks that he doesn't belong on, that like a team would normally clear him out of, and it's just like doing stuff that you're not allowed to do. And that's what I want to focus on, is what Titan aren't allowed to do, because it's been fantastic watching Calax walk around and headshot people from like the dumbest off angles on Hanzo. But Calax is not allowed to do that. And Bernar fan club are high enough ranked, they are good enough players to understand what Titan are and aren't allowed to do. If they can screw their heads on tight enough to recognize, hey, we are good players. We are more than good enough to understand that a Hanzo is not allowed to be on our flank. And if we send, 5 people at him, he will die. And as long as we check our corners, we clear the map efficiently, and we do it as a team, that we will shut down those flanks, shut down those disrespectful plays that Titan are making, then they can, I think, genuinely find a solid foothold on this third map. But it all comes down to mentality and being able to, again, screw your heads on and get things straight. Because once you recognize that, Titan are doing things that you would see in like a gold quick play game in order to get kills, all of a sudden the game becomes a lot easier. But it's through the haze of getting spawn camped for 4 minutes, it can be really tough to do that sometimes.
Yeah, the mentality you have when you get spawn camped like that for 4 minutes is, we have to, right? There's just no world where you stick with the same game plan that you've had going into that next map when it resulted in. And never mention that Roadhog again. You gave me flashbacks that I would rather never remember. But anyways, it's incredibly important, I think, for Bernar fan club, as much as we're focused on what they need better, is just like the reset, right? Every time that you start a game of Overwatch, whether you have lost 5 in a row or you've won 3, you're in an even game. There is nothing stopping Bernar fan club from coming in, just absolutely mollywhopping Titan. They bring their A game, right? And so I would really like to see just that mental reset, maybe the IGL, like the players that they are, the reason they're here, how good they are, right? I would love to see like that come out, and I would love to see a more put together. I think communication probably has broken down. I'd love for it to come back up, and I would really love to see just all of these things slowly come together for Bernar Fan Club to put on a performance I'm proud of.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, like you said, there's that opportunity in map number 3. Titan have been playing, let's be real, some disrespectful Overwatch. It's probably the lightest way to put it. They've been taking all these off angles, playing psychopathic stuff, and that's not likely to change. We head into Circuit Royale. The comps will change, though, almost definitely. I mean, this map has been ruled by Sigma for like God knows how long, literally since it released. Just Sigma double sniper, stuff like that. We can get into the weeds on some more complicated analytical stuff in terms of the positioning at like end of A and C and stuff. But that's if the game actually reaches there. We got to kind of not take any step for granted. We got to look at this from Bernar Fan Club's perspective, right? Where we start back at square one. We clear our corners. We watch our flanks. We take things as a team, and we start things off with the beginning of point A, which normally I would consider a bit of a gimme, right? You can sometimes see a spawn camp there before you go for the second corner, right? But I don't think that's where things are really going to break down for Bernar Fan Club. For me, not the second corner we got to worry about. We got to worry about breaking our way out of spawn first, because Titan are all but certainly going to give them a run for their money there.
Yeah, and the nice thing about when you're on attack here is if you lose that, or if you win that fight on the spawn, you basically get that first open road for free, right? There's zero way that defenders are going to try to defend something like that if they're playing the smart Overwatch that we mentioned. And so from there on, if they're able to get control of that first street, they can hopefully snowball that into some sort of ultimate economy, ultimate efficiency that we saw Titan do, kind of just moving forward, right? Yeah. So I'd be really, really excited to see Bernar Fan Club. I already liked seeing them coming out with the Sigma. I think this is a really smart pick here, especially in defense. You have some opinions on it. What do you think about these comps coming in?
Yeah, I mean, this looks sick from Bernar Fan Club. It's everything I want. There's a bit of debate recently going on about whether or not we want the Ilaria on this map. I think the Zenyatta is just by far and above the better pick on this map in particular, especially with Transcendence being as powerful as it is playing into Flux, which becomes a really important counterpoint on this map. Titan, on the other hand, bringing out Ramattra. Not sure if they'll stay on it, considering a lot of times you just bring this out to kind of break a spawn hold. But with the continuation of what we were talking about earlier, I don't think they really care that much when they're hitting shots like this, when they're playing disrespectfully like that. They can play whatever they want as long as it's resulting in wins. And again, Bernar Fan Club going for this kind of half forward, half backward, too far forward hold. You're going to have so much space like this.
Yeah, I think that the space that they gave, the respect that they gave was too much, right? I think what they need to be able to do here is just kind of find the fight that they want and just take it. Just be confident. Go in, right? It's almost frustrating in a sense where you want to be able to take these fights and they're just not giving it to you. And it's something that you want to be able to do just quicker. Like, these decisions need to be faster. They need to be done in a way where your whole team is on board. It just seems like Bernar Fan Club isn't.
Oh, God. And this re-engage is so hard, right? Because you're walking into a Ramattra. You're walking into the Ana, into the Genji. It's all really uncomfy, but there's at least some trades going on here.
Yeah, the Genji being able to get up into that backline and kind of disrupt Widowmaker from getting any more of those picks is really, really massive. And it's actually giving Titan the ability to continue this push to kind of shut down anything that Bernar Fan Club was trying to do. And that first point's going to be taken with 5 minutes left.
Yeah, and again, a lot of that comes down to where they took the first fight. I talked about it. We can see the spawn hold sometimes, and then we see the corner hold all of the time. But we didn't see the spawn hold or the corner hold. They tried to, like, fight in the street against the Ramattra, which is, like, almost never a good idea for the defensive side because it puts you on such an awkward pace to defend the second half of A, which is what we saw, which now we're steamrolling into B with a massive time bank, as well as ults, throwing a captive stone to the backline. Doesn't really find anything, but again, the space that Titans have is immaculate.
Yeah, it's just a repeat of map 2, right? These fights are just going so quickly that there's almost nothing to cast. Like, by the time that we're getting to the point where these fights are happening, the point's been taken, the space has been taken, and there's nothing to do. So I really want to see Bernar Fan Club just kind of take the space. The kill onto Genji here is really, really important. I think if they're able to snowball this into some actual fight, especially with the Hammond coming out. Oops.
Give me a negatory Ghost Rider. I'm sorry. I hate to break it to you. Milkshake is gone as quickly as they arrived. One pick on a Widow would be a nice consolation prize here for Ain't It Funny, but I don't think it's happening. Little zoning ultimate coming out from the Ramatra. Same happens with the Wrecking Ball on the back end, though. There's actually a decent chance here. If they can catch off main out, throw a lot of damage at this Ram, all of a sudden a re-engage is not out of the question. Getting Milkshake off the card is easier said than done, but it's just not going to happen.
Yeah, Calyx just having those open sight lines, just absolutely getting two quick and easy picks, just basically letting his team have all the space in the world because of the pressure that he provides. A Widowmaker that's able to do something like that is incredible. It's the amount of pressure they provide just by hitting a few shots is something that is unparalleled by any other character, even after the nerf, right? So this poke, this ability to just snowball is exactly what we needed from Titan, and it's what we're seeing, right? And it just seems unstoppable for Bernar Fan Club. Like, it seems like there's nothing they can do with any of their compositional switches that they're making.
Yeah, finally been shut down, though. Milkshake's controlling this high ground pretty well.
Yeah, and we do have a Winston on board taking off main, which is actually leading into a winnable fight for Bernar Fan Club, which is something I feel like I'm not saying a lot. Milkshake takes down Calyx. It's going to be a cleanup onto the Genji. That is a one fight for Bernar Fan Club.
That's what we've been looking for. And honestly, I think this Winston pick's great, right? Look, if anybody needs to be taken to Gariblo here, it's Calyx. Keep them in check as best as you can, and throwing all the dive pressure down at that Widowmaker, down at this super vulnerable backline that Titan are running. Believe me, it's a great choice. No, don't counter dive. No!
No. That's going to be Alexis going down early into this fight, and this is exactly what we saw where every fight Bernar Fan Club was losing was something along the line of this, right? They get one early pick, and it just leads into more and more just destruction and death for their team. And
to be honest, though, it didn't really need to. The off main started walking at Alexis, but there was the opportunity there for Milkshake, Zandir, and Ain't It Funny to just ignore the Ramatra and run it his backline as well. But they tried to dive the Ramatra, which again, you're just never gonna get that kill.
Yeah, with the Alari ult coming out, just kind of solidifying this round with the kill onto Milkshake, it just seems like for a while Bernar Fan Club was putting up a great fight.
I mean, they've got ults.
Yeah, they've got ults here.
There's a solid chance to get in, especially with Rally. They have a lot of sustain. Same goes for the Primal Rage. Oh, Milkshake's low, though.
Yeah, we got to keep an eye on Milkshake to make sure that if they go down, like this defense is over. But that's going to be a kill onto Pro Riot, which is good news because we do have the kill going back down onto Xander. So this is a pretty equal fight. Keep an eye on Milkshake here. That health bar is what's going to be the difference between life or death for Bernar Fan Club, and that Ramatra ult is going to try to take it away as quickly as possible. But the Brig is staying alive as long as they can. Garnish is going to go down. But a return kill onto Genji, it seems like it's just going back and forth fight. But this verticality from the Winston is giving them everything they need. That's going to be another one fight for Bernar Fan Club at the last second.
And they traded a lot of ultimates away pretty efficiently. Now they're coming in, what, Rally, EMP? This is a dream come true in a lot of situations. Yeah, it might be tough to play into this trance, but if you can find a way to force it early, maybe there's a solid chance you get something here. If you step on this Zenyatta, he can die. No, they're going to play their odds a little bit safer than that. The anti-nade's nice, but Bernar Fan Club back away.
Yeah, Pro Riot is just going to be playing on a knife's edge. He needs to know exactly when to press this Q button, but his team's making it all the more easier for him by just putting down Discord orbs and Zumayo saying, "Sir, yes, sir," and killing anything that has a purple orb on it. That's going to be a team wipe for Titan, and I think that's going to be the end of the round.
I got to give a big shout out to Milkshake and Zandir, though. I mean, what a fantastic job, especially with Garnish backing them up, of keeping that last point alive for a not insignificant amount of time. What are we coming to see with, like, 5 minutes or something stupid like that? Like, chipping that down to 1.5 ain't too bad.
Yeah, I think that's a respectable performance. I think that is something that Bernar Fan Club can be proud of.
Yeah, you can take that home. I will happily put that on the fridge.
That's a drawing that you put on the fridge that you remember 2 weeks later, right? And about how far you've come. There are signs of life.
My favorite saying is you can put it on the fridge, but you can't take it to the bank, you know?
Yeah, I think this is something to be proud of, right? Like, this is signs of life. Like, we were talking about, Bernar Fan Club is a good team. And I think that they are not only proving it to Titan, but they're proving it to themselves with fights like that.
Mm-hmm. Now, I mean, we'll see if they can match, but we're not going to set the bar too high. I would like to see him capture a few more points, though. I think they can make some distance on this map. I actually don't think they need the Winston composition to do it necessarily. I know we want to put that pressure down onto Calyx, but that's a lot easier on defense and on C than it is to do on A and B of this map. There's a reason why we see the Sigma as much as we do. But all that being said, I think we have to worry about actually breaking the spawn camp first, which, yeah, we talked about it before the map. Titan are almost definitely going to go for this one, and Bernar fan club they're getting flashbacks to map number 2, but I think they're coming into this one with a bit more confidence, with a bit more understanding that we will not let Titan disrespect us like that again.
Yeah, it was...
Look at that! Oh my
my
god!
goodness.
Yes, please!
And I think that just...
Deliver! Oh, I was hoping. I believed.
Yeah, I think that's something, though, that they needed. That's a confidence booster for sure, right? It's something that gives them a lot of space, but that they have to respect, even though there's a return kill given by Calyx here, and they're able to take a little bit more space. I think the adjustment of having Milkshake trying to put pressure on this backline is a good one, although it doesn't work out here. I think it was a good idea.
You remember we were talking about making sure that Titan have to play an honest game, and that's exactly what happened there, right? They got their one kill, but Bernar just kind of went, right? Everyone just dove a separate target after that, instead of making sure their backline was clear, getting the Kitiko out, doing things properly. So it doesn't just stop after step number 1. It doesn't just stop after getting that first kill. You've got to follow the flow chart all the way to its bitter end.
Yeah, at no point can you think that you've done enough and that it's going to be fine from there. You need to make sure that at every step of the way, you are trying to do it best, right? Being able to get out of spawn is step number 1, I think. So I'd be really interested to see how these upcoming ults, especially for Alexis here, are used. I think using it to kind of empower a push onto the back line, get Orisa into the face of some of these snipers is going to be really, really important.
Here we go.
But yeah, there's already a kill onto Offman that's returned by Garnish that might have shut down the fight, and I think it has.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. But at least that Hog's going to take quite a while to get back. So even though they have the lesser of the end of the stick here, they at the very least have a good opportunity to try and find a re-engage. Assuming Milkshake doesn't get picked here, which seems more and more likely the more I look at this pause screen, but it hasn't happened quite yet. We got a pause coming in, though. Not quite sure which direction it's from. Doesn't quite matter. Titan are doing a good job, though. I mean, they're putting on this spawn hold. It's not as strong as it once was before, like we were talking about over on Eichenwald, but it still is offering up quite a bit when you're talking about Gabe, when you're talking about Calyx, and the picks that they're offering up.
Yeah, we talked about how you can't let them just like walk in and get these stupid picks. And I think that while they're still getting some, I think that the response has been really good. It's been a bit more calculated from Bernar fan club. And I think that they are going to be able to try to at least get it out of spawn, get it on the line. I'd be really surprised if they didn't.
Yeah, at the rate that they're getting them as well, it's not insignificant. The Widowmaker is performing. They're taking down the Roadhog. I think the Orisa is also a really sick answer. I mean, I know it's like now you just look at it, you're like, okay, Orisa, you're playing meta. Congratulations. But like when you've been walking around playing compositional musical chairs this entire match, it's not as easy to kind of spot the obvious choice there when you're playing into the Hog. But I think it should give, at least in theory, a lot of problems to the other side.
Yeah, being able to kind of go on the fly, change your comp as it's needed. I think that that's one of those things. Adaptability has always been the name of the game for Overwatch. Mm-hmm. And I would be really excited to see if there's something in their sleeve, right? Something they haven't shown to kind of counter what Titan has been doing, kind of just own every single one of these maps.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. You can talk about it theoretically. You can talk about the adaptations that they can make, but like, where's somebody pull up like the Bren clip on Plat chat? Like, you shoot, you get shot in the head. Like, that's what's happening 90% of the time here. Is just Calyx is just finding picks, and I mean, Milkshake has man-marked him for the past, what, like 10 minutes now on Winston, and it's still just not enough. The peel was actually really respectable from Titan. The fact that they were able to kind of step out of that, like, okay, we can do whatever we want zone to peel for their Widowmakers, pretty impressive, to be honest.
Yeah, there have been a lot of games I played with you where I'm playing Widowmaker, and I find myself dying 10 times before the game's even over, but...
It's okay, you know? There's four dead on the other side, Cole. It's the cause. A worthy sacrifice, okay? Get a couple picks and then we'll talk. Then we'll talk about people.
Oh, no.
Okay. Oh, God, Calyx is back at it.
Yeah, Calyx is back like the game didn't even pause. It's just... I mean, what do you do?
Group up or not? Why is there Orisa over there? You need to like handhold this on out of spawn. Again, you can't take anything for granted here. Milkshake making their way forward. Callax still in control of this corner. Now we get Bernar fan club grouping up. This is what we're looking for.
Yeah, this is exactly what we asked about. We asked for the group up, but how are they going to adapt to the ultimates that are being used here? That's both support ults out of Titan. Okay. But we do have the Terror Surge coming out that is immediately countered by a 2-man pulse bomb. We saw signs of life.
That's honestly what it feels like, is signs of life, which makes it so much more depressing to see the EKG go flat right afterwards. Titan, though, I mean, they've been so devastating, whether it's the pick from Callax, and again, it's becoming a little bit predictable. It's either a pick from Callax or it's Gabe or Zudomayo playing from the little side room that goes beneath the stairs, the little like Harry Potter cabinet, right?
Yeah,
and it's Bernar fan club again are taking routes that you would normally take to win this map, but they're just not checking the weird corners that nobody ever uses except for Titan. Now they're starting to clear things out though. Let's see if they can take care of Gabe this time on the off angle.
Yeah, without the Roadhog in front of Titan, there should be at least some space taken.
How did Gabe get out of that? What?
There are many illegal plays being made. I'm pretty sure Titan's going to get a fine after this game because they are just getting away with murder. It's so many things here are. It's incredible. The Lifeweaver coming out, a very interesting pick. But Bernar fan club is taking that space. They do get the hook and the purple onto off main, but of course taken by the Lifeweaver. We have the Kitsune Rush coming out with the Symmetra TPing back and forth onto the purple hog. It should be another kill on the off main, and it is. And hopefully Bernar fan club can steamroll this like they did in the last fight. Titan has to give space.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of that was dependent on Callax not finding a shot on a team that basically has no answer to him, but Callax didn't find a shot. Bernar fan club are moving too quickly, too confidently forward, and making it tough for that Widowmaker to find purchase. They've got A cracked open. This is what we were looking for, Cole. Little 360 shot. Nothing found. Bernar, continue forward.
Yeah, I mean, other than the missed style shot, right? Like, we're happy. Like, these are the fundamentals that we were looking for, right? And even with Xander going down, the Lifeweaver ult comes out. They still have time, right? These are ultimates being used to sort of delay the push from Bernar fan club. But even then, they're not making it easy, even though the fight is looking all but lost.
Yeah, Callax is farming a montage. We should make it very clear. Callax going for 360s and stuff. That doesn't change where the bar is for Bernar fan club. You know, we're not looking at like series win right now, but we do want to see distance on this map because again, there are signs of significant improvement from map number 1 and 2, and I don't think that's just because Titan are doing some crazy stuff. Bernar fan club are responding more appropriately than they have in the past, and it does look good on them.
Yeah, you mentioned the IQ checking, right? And we're starting to see that a little bit more where Callax isn't able to get away with some of these positions, even though Lifeweaver pulls him out of it. Absolute criminal gameplay. The bail being set by Pro Riot, and that's going to lead into, unfortunately, a fight the Bernar fan club is not happy with.
Yeah, if there's one thing that can actually bail you out from illegal angles, I guess it's got to be the Lifeweaver. It's kind of a good pick for what they're doing, which is playing boldly, to say the least. Oh my god, off man. No, get picked for that. You deserve to get picked for that. There's no way you get a pick for that.
No!
Please, no! It got this. Dear God, have mercy.
Oh,
Bastion,
ain't it funny?
Maybe? No.
Ain't it funny living up to the name? These hooks are just heat-seeking.
All right. The dust is settled, at least from that engagement. Bernar fan club, at the very least, get the spawn as 5 here. They're bringing a lot of ultimates stable in 30 seconds. Bring things to the final fight opportunity here on B. Getting not picked by Callax is step number 1, but then you have to worry about Gabe in the back line.
Yeah, it's just that no angle is safe, right? No angle, no ultimate going to be spared here. It's everything to the wall. It's everything has to stick here. Everything needs to be used, and it's going to start out with the Symmetra ult. Gabe's looking for a pick in the backline, doesn't find it, but there are 2 ultimates on the side of Titan that have yet to be used, and 3 on the side of Bernar fan club. But the Ana goes down before Nano can be used. That is massive. Ain't It Funny gets the return kill onto off main, so Bernar fan club has the health advantage with the Roadhog in front of them, but Callax doesn't care. Callax will not be shooting the Roadhog. Instead, he will be shooting your team in the head and picking you off one by one, and I think that just might be the match.
God, I mean, it feels like Bernar Fan Club had such a good opportunity there, but Calyx is a highlight machine. You just can't stop this team, man. Titan is too much to handle. They take this one 3-0 and put themselves at the top of the leaderboard as well. 9-0 map differential for them. Honestly, like, again, watching Bernar's Fan Club's some of the highlights from their previous matches and what they were doing, they looked like a solid team. Titan just bring something insane to the table, man.
It was just seemed like at every moment of the game that Bernar Fan Club had opportunities, and every time there were opportunities, they were stolen right away by Titan, and very often by Calyx.
You can tell when a team's just on like a different mechanical level when you can go into those losing fight scenarios and basically on command just take them back, and that's where Titan are sitting right now. And I wouldn't hesitate to think in the least that this is how a lot of their previous matches went, right? They were 6-0 on maps coming into today. I imagine many teams have faced a similar fate to what Bernar Fan Club just met today.
Yeah, definitely not the first in their wake of terror, and definitely not going to be the last. Definitely Titan proving to be one of the most scary teams in this group, but Bernar Fan Club also proving themselves to be a contender.
Yeah, and Bernar Fan Club have positioned themselves, what, they're like middle of the table right now in their group, so I don't think they're necessarily out of it. And they've shown that they've got quite a bit of fight. This was a display that they're able to stay in the match through to the bitter end, and albeit it was a bitter end, but they put up the fight the whole way through. They adapted consistently the whole way through. Towards the end was definitively some of the best play that we saw out of them, which is always a positive thing to get from a team that they're never really counting themselves out in this kind of situation. I think positive things all around for both of these teams. Oasis, though, 2-0 to open things up, was a masterclass by Titan. They really came out swinging, playing some proper Overwatch. It really came down to fundamentals more than anything, though, don't you think?
Yeah, I think it was just both teams came out swinging. Titan swung a little bit harder, had a lot of those fundamentals down a little bit better. Positioning, ult economy, ult efficiency, and I think that's just how it went.
Yeah, second map, Eichenwald, where the Eichenwald incident is what it will be referred to as, and not too long from now. Those 4 minutes are ones I don't think anybody wants to soon remember. But map number 3, like we said, credit Bernar Fan Club, they started to turn things around. And look, it was quick, it was fun, and I'm looking for a slightly longer competition next time we get these two teams matching up.
Yeah, and I think we will. I think that these two teams were just a little bit unevenly matched this time, but I think Bernar Fan Club will come back. I think that they'll kind of have their notes, they'll have their ducks in a row, and I don't expect Bernar Fan Club to get 3-0'd again.
Yeah, they're the type of team that seems like they can actually like learn from this opportunity, which is like not something you can say for every single team that I'm sure Titan 3-0 in their wake. But like you said, that reign of terror doesn't seem to be ending anytime soon. But the reign of terror that is these broadcasts isn't ending anytime soon either. There's more of them to come. We got Discord coming on tomorrow, Thursday the 7th. You guys won't want to miss that, so make sure you follow. And of course, a huge shout out to Cole for popping on tonight. First cast, did a fantastic job. Everybody in chat, give him a huge round of applause. Send him a bunch of love. Yeah, that's right. I'm counting you out of this one. Anyways, you guys take it easy. Have a good night, and we'll see you later.
Check this out.